And this past Saturday in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, Donald Trump laid out what he will do in his first 100 days in office and his contract with you, the American voter. Here are some of the highlights.
What follows is my 100-day action plan to make America great again. A constitutional amendment to impose term limits on all members of Congress. A requirement that for every new federal regulation, 2 existing regulations must be eliminated. We will cancel all federal funding of sanctuary cities. We will begin removing the more than 2 million criminal illegal immigrants from the country. These are drug dealers, gang heads, gang members, killers. We're going to suspend immigration from terror-prone regions where vetting cannot safely occur. Fully repeal Obamacare and replace it with health savings accounts.
All right, joining us now, Donald Trump's running mate, Indiana Governor Mike Pence is with us. Governor, good to see you. But this actually goes deeper than just 10 things. This is really about 28 specific promises. I wanted to give you an opportunity to outline it for people because, you know what, we do talk a lot about non-substantive issues, and I figured this is a good opportunity to talk about what, you know, how are we going to get this country moving again? Economically, foreign policy, protect the homeland.
Well, Sean, and I appreciate the opportunity. I think what Donald Trump laid out in Gettysburg is really what this election's all about. It's a choice between 2 futures. Never in my lifetime have I seen a more dramatic choice between the policies of Hillary Clinton, who wants to raise taxes, have open borders, continue the kind of trade deals that are costing jobs, hollow out our military, walk away from the high ideals of the American people enshrined in the Constitution, and Donald Trump, who you heard lay out that plan in the way that he's been laying out now for months, a plan to really make America great again by rebuilding our military, ending illegal immigration, cutting taxes, repealing Obamacare, having the kind of trade deals that support jobs, and having appointments to the Supreme Court of the United States that will uphold those constitutional ideals. Those are the big issues. That's the big choice. But I have to tell you, at rallies here in North Carolina today, that it's the enthusiasm for that agenda, the enthusiasm for Donald Trump's vision to make America great again, I think is driving us toward a great, great day on November the 8th.
You know, for a Republican to win, if we look at historically, you have to thread the needle. You've got to win North Carolina, must win. You've got to win Florida. You've got to win Ohio. You've got to win Iowa, hopefully New Hampshire and New Mexico, and hopefully then put other states in play. As you look at the electoral map and you look at the poll numbers, it has you close in a lot of these swing states, but down in some of them. How do you interpret that? Do you think there's a Brexit effect? Do you think there are people that won't admit they're voting for Donald Trump, or do you believe the polls?
Well, you know, the only poll that matters is going to be finished on November the 8th. That's first. But, you know, there's a couple national polls, Rasmussen and Investors Business Daily, that actually have us leading. In North Carolina, just today, Fox reported that we're only down 1 here in North Carolina. But I got to tell you, you know, Abraham Lincoln said memorably, believe nothing of what you hear and only half of what you see. What I'm seeing on the ground here in North Carolina, what Donald Trump and I saw in Cleveland on Saturday night, him in Naples today, in Florida today, there's an enthusiasm on the ground like I've never seen in my lifetime. I mean, people are coming out, some of whom have been,
how do you feel about the early vote
really
numbers?
Disappointed in politics for years.
I got a chance to see early numbers in Iowa, in Ohio, in Florida. Dems are down almost about half of where they were at this point in the campaign, early voting in 2012. How do you interpret that? Do you think that's a sign? Do you think the crowds are a sign? Do you think that that translates into an enthusiasm your campaign has? Hillary's small crowd shows a lack of enthusiasm?
Well, we're watching that, and you know that you're seeing some evidence even in the state of Ohio that counties that Barack Obama won are significantly down. Counties that Mitt Romney won, you know, are about where they were 4 years ago. But I have to tell you, the biggest evidence to me, I was in Circleville, Ohio, on Saturday. My family and I were campaigning at the Pumpkin Show. You would have loved it. there were probably 20,000 people in the streets of Circleville. We had to get out of the vehicles because so many people were cheering us on. They handed me a microphone. I said I was going to see the next president of the United States in Cleveland that night, and literally 20,000 people cheered. And this was just a wide-open public festival. I mean, there is an enthusiasm among everyday Americans from people from every walk of life who just know we can be stronger again, who know we can be more prosperous again. And that 100-day agenda that you started out our conversation with, I think gives people a place to go. And hopefully it also gives some Republicans a place to go who aren't quite there with us yet. I mean, I said today in North Carolina several times that it's time for Republicans to come home. We've got support from independents. We've got support from many Democrats. But as you've said many times, Sean, it's time for Republicans to come home and come together, elect Donald Trump, re-elect Republican majorities in the House and Senate, and turn this country around.
There's no excuse. They'll get the Hillary Clinton they deserve if they don't see just on that one issue, or vetting refugees, or cutting taxes and lowering the corporate tax rate, and energy independence, and eliminating Obamacare. If they can't see the differences, at this point they're a lost cause. Let me ask you, Donald Trump has taken a lot of heat over talking about a rigged election. I would argue the Republican establishment, even friends of yours like Paul Ryan, have been against him. I would argue that the Democratic establishment is against him. We now know through WikiLeaks the media has been colluding with Hillary. But they're acting as though this is the first time it's ever been said. Let me play Barack Obama in 2008. Listen to this.
Right.
I would just like to know what you can say to reassure us that this election will not be rigged or stolen.
Well, I tell you what, it helps in Ohio that we got Democrats in charge of the machines. I come from Chicago, so I want to be honest. It's not as if it's just Republicans who have monkeyed around with elections in the past. Sometimes Democrats have too. You know, whenever people are in power, they have this tendency to try to, tilt things in their direction.
Oh, so Democrats have talked about rigged elections too, and he's basically admitting to it.
Well, I got to tell you, I saw on Twitter the other day a montage of sound bites of Obama and Clinton and all of them using the term rigged. Look,
by the way, that
was
probably my show. Yeah, but go ahead. Yeah,
it probably was. It probably was. But what Donald Trump is saying is certainly voter fraud is real in polling places and pockets around the country. And in the next 15 days, people ought to be willing to respectfully participate in the process to ensure the integrity of the vote. But when Donald Trump says rigged system, it's just as much being rigged by a media that's trying to write stories in the last 48 hours to suggest this election is over. I mean, the collusion that now we see in these emails where you had reporters checking with Hillary Clinton's campaign chairman whether or not the article they wrote was good or how. I mean, this is the kind of rigged system that's been benefiting the favored few, a liberal political class in Washington, D.C. The American people are onto, and I think it's the center of Donald Trump's appeal. They know that when he becomes president of the United States, he's going to get up every day and fight for the American people. His only special interest will be them, and I have to tell you that I think that's the reason why you're seeing Republicans, Democrats, and independents rallying around the cause here in North Carolina, and I see that momentum every day.
All right, Governor, we have 15 days to go. Pretty soon 14, in less than 2